Oh, my only crime was being happy. That's all I did. I hate you.
Holy shit, Danny.
Boom.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Market Down Podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, whose laptop is false starting all over the place. I'm joined this week by James Chisanti. Unfortunately, my cricket couldn't make it, and we are back here once again to review this week's episode of AEW Dynamite. This week was Fyter Fest. It is the last Dynamite before All In on Sunday, so a lot of shit went down. But before we start, obviously, the wrestling world is reeling from the loss of Terry Funk this afternoon. AEW put up a nice in memoriam before the show. James, we want to wish him and his friends and family, all the thoughts and prayers and comfort in this trying time.
Terry Funk, an absolute legend in this business. He will be missed as a human being and as a wrestler. There's not a lot to say about the man just because everything has already been said. But I would just like to note that Terry Funk went out unretired. God bless him. He went out the way he lived on his terms. So love you, Terry. And thank you for all the memories.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see a whole lot of Terry Funk matches. I've seen some of the funnier clips and highlights, like in WCW when he almost got kicked in the head by that horse in that ridiculous match. But everything I've ever seen from him is great. I've never heard anybody say an unkind word about him. His stuff in Japan was absolutely legendary. So, like I said, we wish his family and friends all the best. As we move on to the main card, we welcome in Danny, who is a pinwheel at the moment. He'll be in a second. And we start what was supposed to be the match between the Elite, beating the combination this time of the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, facing off against Bullet Club Gold's Juice Robinson and the Guns. However, this match never actually took place. It was deemed a no contest because the Elite went after Bullet Club Gold before the match even started on the entrance ramp, which resulted eventually in Juice getting a chair, hitting Nick Jackson across the back with it, and then as referee Rick Knox, tried to stop him, Juice just knocked the fuck out. So this went completely off the rails. Jay White with the referee. How's it going, Papa G? Thank you for all your love and support.
We're doing okay. We're doing an okay job, but thank you.
With Knox out cold, this allowed Jay White to enter the fray, and it gave Bullet Club Gold the numbers advantage. The Guns were able to hit Nick Jackson with the 310 to Yuma. Nick Jackson got hit with a lot of shit in this segment. And Jay White tries to hit Matt and Kenny, both with the Blade Runner at separate points, but both were able to escape. Kenny then fended off the Ass Boys and got them out of the ring before going toe-to-toe with White again. But this was interrupted by Konosuke Takeshita, who came out of fucking nowhere to take Kenny Omega out and giving Bullet Club Gold an even bigger numbers advantage. This then prompted FTR to come out. Their music hit, and they backed up the Young Bucks as they fought the rest of Bullet Club Gold into the back, leaving Takeshita and Kenny Omega in the ring. Takeshita started throwing absolute haymakers at Kenny. Kenny is able to get off a V-trigger and then gets Takeshita for the one-winged angel, but Takeshita is able to wriggle free and escape, leaving off the ramp. So, James, I go to you on all things. All things Bullet Club and Elite, but this was a good segment. I thought it was a smart way to have these guys interact without actually having this match, which I would have enjoyed the match, but I feel like the first matches between Bullet Club Gold and the Elite should take place on a grander stage, which would be this Sunday.
I completely agree. I was a little disappointed just because, one, I'm not a big fan of matches being advertised and not happening unless there's special circumstances. And two, I was actually just really looking forward to the match. But you're absolutely right. The first time the Elite and Bullet Club Gold should really interact in a match should be on pay-per-view, especially this pay-per-view All In. So I do get it. And truth be told, as good as I'm sure the match would have been, I think we got all we needed to out of it with what we got. We got a brawl. We got more than we were advertised. We got Jay White. We got Takeshita. It did its job. It set the stage for the pay-per-view this Sunday. And I'm excited for all aspects of this show. Of this matchup, I should say, or the two matchups that were sort of involved in this cluster. I'm excited for Bullet Club Gold versus the Hung Lovers. The Hung Lovers, I think I'm going to go with. I'm excited for them versus the Hung Lovers, and I'm excited for the Young Bucks to be facing another team with a criminal in it. So overall, it's just a lot to be excited for and a great way to start the show. And I will say, man, Kenny with all that K-tape on his back is just scary. He is just being held together with like gum and like rubber bands at this point, right? That has to be it.
I mean, K-tape for the most part is fairly useless. Like, so some people say it does things. Some people say
Tell that to Claudio Castagnoli.
I was going to say either way, it is great for wrestling because it gives people visualization of injuries on wrestlers without it being, a massive inconvenience to the wrestler, like wearing a brace or something.
Yeah.
So it has been great for wrestling kayfabe. Just for the record, they are calling the combination of Omega, Ibushi, and Hangman the Golden Elite. Just because Hangman's back in it, but I understand why you wouldn't. Also, I mean, I kind of miss Hangman in this situation. He was the one guy who wasn't really there. I can see why Ibushi wouldn't be there just generally, but it was interesting to see that he wasn't there, and I thought he could have added to the situation, but I don't think his absence necessarily took anything away from it.
I think on some note, he's going to be away for a while. He's going to be abroad. He does have a young child at home. I'm not surprised that maybe he wanted to be home for a little bit before having to fly across the pond. And that's just pure speculation. Maybe I don't know, he got lost and ended up at the bar. I don't know. I'm not a Marines biologist.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Danny, welcome into the show officially. Good to have you. What did you think about this opening no contest?
I liked it. It wasn't anything special, anything crazy, but it was fun. Nice little bit of chaos. I think it's really good that we didn't have the match because that's not a very smart thing to do on the go home show, is to have like 5/6 of them, or like 4/6, 2/3 of the match. And I don't know who's actually in the match anymore. I'm getting confused with a lot of the match. Like, a lot of the matchups have changed a bit since last week, so I'm a little confused in that regard. But I'm glad they didn't have it. But it was a fun, chaotic way to start what was a chaotic overall episode, I'd say. And if you guys don't mind me asking you two a question, how are you guys? What are your excitement levels for All In? Are you all in on All In, or how in are you on All In on a scale of like 1 to 8, let's say?
I was going to say, on a scale of 1 to All In, I am all in. I'm very thrilled with this card. I think there's a lot of good stuff on it. And frankly, I only really know the Dynamite side. I know a little bit of the Collision side just because, Excalibur rattles it off at the end of the show very quickly.
What about the Rampage side?
That's basically a combination of the two sides. So
it's not a side. It's not a thing.
But I am looking forward to those matches as well. Punk versus Joe is always going to be something that intrigues me. So there's a lot here to look forward to. I think it's going to be great. And frankly, I'm just here for the crowd at this point, man. Like, this show could suck, and the crowd is going to be amazing. So I'm always here for the British crowd.
Yeah.
I too am all in. I'm excited for the matches. I am excited for the crowd making these very good matches feel like amazing matches. And it's just the vibe, man. I don't care what WWE sold for WrestleMania. 80,000 is the number to beat now.
Yeah, and that's going to be very difficult. They're going to have to go to, say, Wembley to do it, or maybe one of those large stadiums in Australia. I don't know how big their stuff gets over there for rugby and AFL and stuff.
We know the truth. It's a race to the moon at this point. Who is going to be the first to wrestle on the moon? AEW or WWE? That's really what this comes down to.
I say we go to the ISS first and then maybe get to the moon, just so like it's an intermediary stepping stone.
I like to run before I crawl, okay? I want to run so hard that I'm crawling.
His head's in the clouds, all right? Leave him be.
Thank you.
Just want to jump in the chat real quick. Say hello to JL. JL, you missed a lot. Glad you're home from work. And say hello to Navarro. What's going on, dude? Good to have you.
What's up, Navarro?
As always.
CM Punk never causes drama. That's like so 2022.
Bill Brooks, though, all the time. All the time.
JL, if you're not excited for the show, what the hell are you excited for, man? There's like nothing
Braun
else to be
Breaker hit a
excited
cool
for.
spear last night.
He's not excited about Braun Breaker. They're wasting the guy. We can't even talk about his favorite because they're not even using him. Excited for Payback. That's not something to be excited about. But anyway,
Navarro, I will say there is an interesting wrinkle to All In, and the card is strong, and I'm excited for it. But All Out is in what, 2 weeks or so?
No, a week after. A week after.
It's like in a week and a half. So, and it's like you said, it's exactly a week after All In. So they had to be careful where they needed to put on matchups at All In that would be big spectacles without completely taking every match away from All Out.
I'm sorry. I'm just going to say the obvious. Maybe don't have 2 pay-per-views a week apart.
Maybe, it wasn't smart, but
maybe in an effort to promote All In, don't have All Out a week later. Keep All Out if you want it. Chicago surely needs wrestling. They might die without it, but maybe reschedule it. Or considering All Out is always at this time of year, maybe you move All In to another time. Maybe. I don't know. Again, I'm not a Marines biologist. I don't have a degree in this stuff. Just a regular film student right here. I don't know, but I think what I'm saying sounds right.
Yeah, he doesn't have a degree, deodorant or otherwise, but he is passionate, sweaty and passionate.
As the resident George Costanza of the group, I will say that WrestleMania Night 1 and 2 is a bit of a different scenario because they're booking for 2 nights, but they're obviously separating all of the people. Like, it's just one big event. This is 2 major events where the majority of the people on All In are going to be on All Out.
All Out is a house show. What are we talking about?
The cost for 2 nights of WrestleMania is $10 if you have the premium Peacock. The cost for both All In and All Out is $100 a week apart. I'm very excited for both shows. I'm excited for WrestleMania.
I'm not excited for All Out. What are you talking about?
They haven't announced anything for All Out except for Miro versus Powerhouse Hobbs
and Darby versus Christian.
And it's Darby versus
Luchasaurus. Sorry.
Yeah. I am very excited for my meaty men slapping meat, but I need a little more sizzle on that steak.
That's a TV match, and you're gonna sell a pay-per-view off of it after Wembley. Like, come on.
I gotta say, I do think, and I don't want to, get too much further into this because I want to save some stuff for our prediction show / we have to review the rest of Dynamite. But I do think you're going to see a lot of stuff set up at All In that'll probably be confirmed on Wednesday, and then the subsequent Friday and Saturday on Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision. So it's going to come really fast and really quick. But I think there's going to be a lot of obvious stuff coming out of All In. So
yeah, and that's bad.
Let's table that for now because we're going to be here all night if we do. And let's move on to our next segment, which was a sit-down interview with MJF by Renee Paquette. So Renee starts off the interview by asking MJF what it means to be in front of 80,000 fans in London. And MJF immediately just goes straight for the boner joke and says he's going to be pretty shoved up because there's going to be 80,000 people screaming his name. His pants are going to be tight. And the British people absolutely love him. And he promises them all a pint if they're all chanting his name and he wins. And then Renee's like, really? He's like, no, I'm going to make that Mark Tony Khan pay for it. But we could cut that, right?
Producer boy, cut this out.
Renee then goes on to ask how much pressure there is on MJF vying for the Ring of Honor tag team titles, and he says there's immense amount of pressure because he's standing on the shoulders of the people who paved the way before him, and he mentioned a lot of people, like Bruno Sammartino and Hogan, and I think he mentioned Rock and Stone Cold as well.
Cena.
And Cena, yes, he did mention John Cena. But
the greatest of all time, according to some Facebook groups that Danny follows.
I do not follow. The algorithm fucking forces it on me. All right, I don't even want to pretend to play along for a joke that I would follow a fucking wrestling page, or like a wrestling group on any forum. Anyway, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
But yes, a win for MJF here allows him to become a giant like them. Renee then turns the topic to the legitimacy of his friendship with Adam Cole, showing some clips of some of what she called the glaring cracks, of their relationship. Max says that all of this is new to him. He's never actually had a legitimate friend before, but Cole has made him a better person in a very short amount of time and is now his brother. And brothers sometimes fight, but they always hug it out at the end. MJF says he's being vulnerable for the first time in his life, and he asks fans to come with him on this journey because he's not just a scumbag, but our scumbag. So, Danny, I thought this was very well done. We're seeing, like he says, a very vulnerable side to MJF. And, he's still crude, with boner jokes and stuff like that. But we're seeing, we've been seeing the side to him we've never seen before. And I thought that came across great in this segment.
MJF he's just the best, right? I don't think we can deny it anymore. Not that we've really been. I think we've always known, but this story is just normally AEW does this sort of thing for a go home show quite a bit, and it almost feels like they're going in limp to the pay-per-view. But this was actually, I think, a perfect cool down before things go into fucking overdrive at the pay-per-view. I think MJF really, really nailed this. Just the delivery of particular lines, let's be honest here, everything, this is all new to me. Like, that was very earnest and genuine. And he still has his little quips where he's balancing, he's being a baby, trying genuinely to be a baby face, but still having to keep his guard up a little bit and keep that facade just a little bit. He can never fully let it down. And I'm so into this, and this was so much better than I thought it was going to be. So I was a very, very big fan of this one. And I think this was way better than the one that Adam Cole had later, but the one that Adam Cole had was arguably more important, even though it wasn't better. But yeah, good stuff. MJF is the best.
Oh, he's been absolutely on fire lately since this Adam Cole run. And we'll talk about Cole's interview a bit later in the show. But James, I'm with Danny here. This was great. And I think we talked a little bit too last week about how these shows right before the pay-per-view can become a little promo heavy in order to protect people heading into a major show. And sometimes that can be a detriment. But I think tonight, for the most part, especially this segment, it was a strength.
And I'd hate to cut you off, James. I'm so sorry. But I just remembered something that I was actually talking to Producer Boy about, which, is I'm going to give you guys a peek behind the curtain. James banished Producer Boy from our group, but he's been messaging me about wrestling. And, we were talking about this whole MJF thing. And because he loves Punk, he unironically, but also sometimes ironically, just loves CM Punk. So he's talking about how the Punk MJF thing can work out now with the dynamic of MJF changing to being like the top babyface, and I think that makes it stronger because I think this potential turn from Adam Cole, this betrayal, will bring MJF's character to another level and make him so beloved. And you could have an angle where Punk thinks that he still thinks that MJF is the douchebag he was before Punk got hurt. And he thinks he's going to leave with the title and he hates the company and this, that, and Punk thinks he has to save the company from MJF, but it's really MJF saving the company from Punk because MJF is the good guy and he can reveal at whatever point in the feud that he's actually re-signed a long, long time ago, and how good of a thing that can be. And this sit down interview and like the things I talked about, like the way he presents himself as the guy he's trying to be that babyface. Just the idea of getting there is so tantalizing, and I think whatever the outcome is of this match on Sunday is gonna really take this to another level that we didn't think was possible, which is more or less what I think James was gonna say anyway. So
none of that actually. But I mean, I agree. I just wasn't gonna say it. MJF is without a doubt one of the most nuanced characters in wrestling today, wrestling history. There is so much, there is so much to him. There are so many layers to him. There are so many different facets that are all moving at the same time and yet are all genuine, it seems, and are all valid. 99% of what he was saying when he did feud with Punk the first time was true. It was genuine. It helped shape who he was at that point in time in AEW.
I'm sorry, James. This is about MJF and Adam Cole. What does Punk have to do with it?
I don't know. I think something just happened that kind of put it in my head. But, I'm going to run with that thread. But
did Red fall asleep? What's going on there?
It looks
I'm
like
here. No, I was looking, checking something on my phone.
Your eyes look closed.
I'm so sorry that I'm boring you, Rev. My bad, bro.
You were not boring me. It was very.
You say that, but your face says differently, man. Your face says you could barely keep your eyes open.
I barely slept the last couple of days, man. You don't want that.
I'll learn to. So he was sleeping. Where did the lies end?
My eyes are closed.
When do the lies end?
My eyes just are narrow because I'm tired.
Man, anyway. You're really sleepwalking backwards here, man.
Anyway, I'm very proud to see this character having developed, and he talked about it last week.
Zombie.
He talked about it last week. He opened up All In, the first one. He opened up the first All In. I watched his first match on a major stage. I believe it was against Matt Cross, and now he's main eventing this All In. It's been a hell of a journey so far, and he's so young. There's still so much more to come. That this was a great checkpoint. This promo, this segment was a great checkpoint into who MJF is at this point, and I love it. Absolutely love it. Great work.
Yeah, and we'll talk more, again, like I said before, more about the Adam Cole interview that happened later in the show. But I thought this was a great setup to that second interview. But for now, let's move on to the actual first match of the night, because the first one didn't actually happen, which saw Jon Moxley face off against Rey Fenix. Yes, he is a generational talent. He's unbelievable. But all Stadium Stampede participants were banned from ringside during this match. And very early in it, Moxley spiked Rey into the ramp, and I thought he had a concussion the entire match. Now, granted, I figured out pretty quickly he was selling, but goddamn, did that look real? He was selling that something fierce. Eventually, later in the match, Fenix was able to rally, and he hit Mox with a head kick before landing a flag splash. But Moxley was able to kick out just before 3. He waited Roman Reigns levels of time to kick out of that. Fenix then got Mox up on his shoulders, but Mox brings him down with the hammer and anvil elbows to set up for a Death Rider. But Phoenix is able to counter that and roll through, and Mox is able to kick out of the roll-up again. Fenix then goes for a move off the ropes, but Moxley just picks him right out of the air, and both men are down for a bit before getting back up and starting to exchange blows and end up fighting into the corner and eventually up to the top rope. After biting Ray to break up a double underhook, Mox hits an avalanche Death Rider, and I don't know fucking how Ray Fenix kicked out of this thing. I was shocked. However, Moxley immediately jumps on him, locks in a sleeper hold, and passes Fenix out for the win. After the match, Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta hit the ring with crowbars, getting ready to take Ray out. But Eddie Kingston and Penta El Zero Miedo come down and try to interfere. However, they are stopped by a returning Ortiz, who is standing at the bottom of a ramp with the Mad Ball. And as they're thinking about what to do, music hits, and motherfucking Santana makes his return after over a year.
Mike Santana. They said it like 75 times tonight on the show. He is specifically Mike Santana now.
Mike Santana? Well, either way, motherfucking Proud and Powerful is back, baby. Let's go. So they're there. They're all like, what the fuck? Fucking Mike Santana. Oh, is he going to become Giancarlo Santana after a while? Mike Santana goes after Penta, and while Penta turns his back, Ortiz takes out Kingston with the Mad Ball. Back in the ring, Fenix gets taken down with the crowbars as both men, I think it was both, end up hitting him in the head with them. Camera missed it, so I didn't actually see. And then the best friends come out from the top of the ramp, heavily armed, and this causes Proud and Powerful and the BCC to retreat in the crowd, but the damage was already done. Fenix is down, and EMTs are called to put him on a backboard, and they stretcher him out. Excalibur then transitions into the most awkward DraftKings ad read I've ever seen before heading into commercial. And then when we come back, they actually show the replay of Fenix getting hit with the crowbars before cutting to him being loaded into the ambulance and being taken away. Renee then comes over and tries to get a word in with Eddie, but Eddie's fucking pissed. He starts yelling at her about what her husband Moxley did. If she saw it. Rightfully she's like, I know, I saw it. I don't know what to say. He's like, well, of course you don't. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to fix it? And he turns to the camera and goes, fine, I'll fix it on Sunday. All right, let me just say, this was all great. This match is great. I thought Fenix looks like a star. I don't know where that came from again.
You were hearing, but it's like, rightfully so. Rightfully yelled at the Canadian woman because of something her husband did. Like, yeah, she deserves it.
2-4.
No. My issue was she was all up in Eddie's face about fixing it last time. Yeah, Moxley's the asshole.
And he did a bad job.
No. You could only fix things that are capable of being fixed. Moxley is already neutered. He's already been fixed. There ain't no fixing him anymore. No, he's an asshole.
Your analogy is really falling apart there.
It worked.
He wasn't fixed. So then he wasn't neutered. So, but he is still an asshole. Yeah, I don't know where you're going with that.
We're talking about balls or assholes. What are we doing?
But sometimes
I don't know, man. You tell me. You're the guy. You're the guy trying to make analogies here. It's excuse us for questioning it. It's not my fault.
You're not excused.
What about Rev?
Look, shitty analogies aside, I loved all of this. I thought the match was phenomenal. Like I was saying before, Fenix looked like he just looked amazing. And he was so resilient. Obviously, Mox looks like a monster being able to take them down this way. We ended up with great heat on the BCC for taking Fenix out this way. Proud and Powerful back. I'm fucking hyped for that. BX stand up all day. And we write Fenix out of the match because apparently he was having passport issues and couldn't get over to England for it anyway. So, Danny, I think this took care of everything we wanted to take care of. We're missing a couple more people that I guess were big surprises for the Stadium Stampede match on Sunday, but they've made me far more hyped for this match Sunday than I was going into it, even though I was already A, sufficiently hyped at the return of the match, and B, we had a pretty decent idea that it would be Proud and Powerful backing up the BCC.
Yeah, I want to say that we just called it.
I'm really sorry to interrupt you, Danny. I hate doing it. But I just gotta say, so we're just jokering people now. He's such a poor sport. I hate him. I hate him so much. I can't even get back at him.
Just when you think you have him, he fucking turns.
It's not fair. It's not fair.
Uno reverse cards you so fast.
Rev, why do we have this banner? I don't remember this one.
It must have been something. Yeah, I was gonna say, was that me or I thought producer Moy might have done it. I don't know, but one of you go.
Regardless.
Okay, so anyway,
this is literally how
oh
Joker
my God,
killed
we're not
Robin.
talking over each other.
This is literally how Joker killed Jason Todd with a crowbar, and we're just casually doing it on TV. Zack Snyder would be furious.
Didn't he technically kill him with a bomb?
How do you think he was set up for the bomb? Crowbar.
It borderline feels like it's a de-escalation of violence at this point.
Crowbars?
Well, technically we have de-escalated from explosives to crowbars, so we're going reverse order of Jason Todd being killed.
There you go.
Look,
all right, go ahead, Danny.
That's the segment, Danny.
Would you? Never mind. I was going to ask you a would you rather, but I don't have the nerd fandom knowledge perfectly down in that regard to put James on the spot. So I'm just going to talk about. Anyway, segues are weird. We called it Proud and Powerful as the teammates. Now the whole Phoenix situation, bummer, man. I understand you're trying to, get your residency in America, and that's cool. That's why he's been right now. Like,
is that it?
Yeah, he hasn't left the country in like months. That's why I didn't do AAA recently. Which good on you. But also it sucks here, man. Why do you want to be here? But I was a big fan of this. I liked how the crowd didn't forget. And it's AEW crowds that you could usually count on them to remember and to care about stuff like this. But like I wouldn't have blamed anyone who was just like, what the why would I care about this, or to forget that they're friends with Eddie because they just think of them as the guys from the inner circle. So like that was nice to see, and it's just nice to see them together, even if we didn't really see them touch or interact together. So who knows how much of the beef between them has been squashed, but enough that they can work together again. So that's something. This guy, but also if I hear one complaint out of Carlos Santana over here, him and Rob Thomas can fucking split for all I care. Because
is Ortiz Rob Thomas in this situation?
Yes, 100%. You saw the hat he was wearing. Because I do. That's the only thing is like I'm not. Sometimes selfishly, I'll arbitrarily hold it against people for wanting to quit or wanting to leave. But I don't think I'll do that with Santana unless he, stays in that mindset. I hope that whatever issues he had, I hope they're resolved so we can just get some amazing, proud and powerful tag matches. Because how long has it been since genuinely, how long has it been since we had a 2-on tag match?
Well, at least since he hasn't wrestled since 2 Blood and Gutses ago.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've had a straight up tag team match like months before that.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
So
they were involved in some
over
gang
calendar
warfare,
year. So that's insane. But this is awesome. They did a great job in making me excited for this match. Not that I wouldn't have enjoyed it anyway, or I wouldn't have been excited, but just bringing them back and just so much of this is on Eddie now. And I just, I wish he wasn't in the G. Oh, I don't wish he wasn't in the G1, but I wish the timing worked out better because the story is very centered around him for someone who wasn't here 4 weeks ago, but good for Eddie. The pop he's going to get, the popless match is going to get, it's going to be great.
Big time.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this match. Like you said, I do hope we get some great proud and powerful tag matches in the future, just because I feel like we got some. And then there was inner circle drama, and then I felt like they just fell off for a while, and they were almost relegated to Rampage just about. And then obviously they got involved in the gang warfare with Blood and Guts, and Santana got hurt, and Ortiz was teaming with Eddie, and then that fell apart, in terms of, feud wise, which is for those of you who don't know, a lot of that happened on Rampage too. Eddie and Ortiz splitting up. So I want them to be put in a more prominent position in general. But James, I mean, this is a pretty prominent position to come back to.
Hell of a way to come back. Santana's looking real jacked, baby. He's looking real big. I'm very excited for these two guys to be back on TV. I think they both have so much value, whether that's as a team or in singles eventually. Once this is resolved, this is great. The match is going to be fantastic on Sunday. Stadium Stampede. We've only had one asterisk kind of this ever, so I'm really, really excited. I'm so glad that Eddie Kingston is having. Oh boy, he's having a great couple months. The G1 and then 80,000 fans at Wembley. That's incredible, and I'm so happy for him. I gotta say, just speaking on the match a little bit, I don't know why, and maybe I'm just being a grump about it. I really hated that he kicked out of the top rope Death Rider.
I'm gonna agree with
Paradigm
that.
Shift. Yeah,
it was a Death Rider, and that should end the match. I understand they were kind of throwing Phoenix a bone here, him not being able to participate in the Stadium Stampede, and they want to make him look strong as hell before being taken out, probably now for a while. Because he can't come back next Wednesday. You know what I mean? After this. Yeah. So I can understand them throwing him a bone, but kicking at that is having him lose to that is throwing him a bone.
Yeah. It was a little bit of a bummer for me because now that spot is just gone for bigger stuff. They'll hit it again. He'll hit another top rope Death Rider, but it's just
but it's not protected.
Exactly. So that was a little bit of a bummer for me. I already really got into the crowbars. We're throwing everything out now. Everything. We had a bed of nails a month ago. Crowbars now. I
feel like crowbars are so tame, and you're fixating on it.
You ever been hit with a crowbar? That shit hurts.
I'm sure it does, but you know what else hurts? The fucking bed of nails, glass, all the other shit Moxley does on the reg. This is fucking tame for the guy. It's not sharp. It's not sharp and instantly skin piercing. He's not a blunt force object is child's play to this man. If it's not piercing the skin, it's not worth his time. That's why he wasn't carrying one. That's what the other two were. Okay, so I don't want to hear it. But what was brutal about it, which I feel like no one even mentioned, is how Claudio fucking hooked it under the mask. Yeah.
Yeah, that was scary. It was all scary. It was all scary. I didn't like it, and it made
the already ripped mask.
Yeah.
Only Claudio put it on again.
I am a little bummed. I get circumstances for everything. I wish it was still a 6-on-6 match and that they had just found a replacement for Phoenix. But because who is that other man going to be for the BCC?
Is it not 6-on-6 anymore?
It's 5-on-5 now. Yeah, it's going to be 5-on-5.
I was actually.
Yep.
So then the BCC don't need anyone else.
Yeah, they have. Well, no. Before, when it was going to be 6-on-6, it was Claudio, Moxley, Yuta plus 3 mystery people.
Yeah.
And then the Phoenix stuff happened, and now it's 5-on-5. I want to know who that other guy was going to be. In my brain, it's still either Chris Hero or Nigel McGuinness, even though it doesn't make any sense. But I just wanted it. So I don't know, but that's a little bit of a bummer. And I get, again, circumstances. Phoenix can't do it. But is Pac really that hurt?
That's what I'm saying, man. I mean, God.
All their British stars are gone for this show. And I'm sorry, Saraya is still there. But, what a bummer.
That's New Japan's star, but hold on.
Yeah, fair enough.
Do you hear the way that he freaking said that, man? Oh, Saraya's still there. Rolled his eyes. It pained him to say it because God forbid she's a woman and she's a foreigner.
I was gonna say at most you could put James and Eric hate women, but this isn't I'm bummed that Pac isn't there. I'm bummed that Hater is not there. This is a bummer. It's a bummer.
I was like, that's the other one I was looking for. I was like, who else was there? Yeah, Jamie Hater. I'm still hoping she makes some sort of appearance, Hater, because I think she deserves it.
I think she will after the Fatal 4-Way.
Yeah.
I think something else is going to happen after the Fatal 4-Way, but
Ooh, we'll talk about that later.
yeah, like 2 days from now.
I'm assuming he means the prediction show. And on that note, we're going to move on to a pre-recorded segment, which was a backstage interview with Sammy Guevara. Renee asked Sammy why he went to help Chris Jericho last week after he got attacked by that carny piece of shit, Don Callis.
And then Sammy said, because I'm a fucking idiot. Like, that's what he was like, because I'm an idiot and I have no place on the card. And I just want to be a babyface, even though I'm a fucking heel. And I just want to force it so badly. So that's why it was a dumb decision, because the dude shot in our faces, the whole group's face, but I'm a sucker. So I went out to help him. And that was the interview. And then the other people, the former members of the JS were like, yeah, it was dumb that he went out there, man. He did say, yes, you do know that, right? And then Sammy said, yeah, but then I wouldn't have at least I can make a run in during the match at All In now, and I could at least appear on the show where I wasn't going to appear otherwise. So, that was the segment. I don't think we got to talk about it. This is dumb. Sammy's dumb.
Kind of accurate. I would at least like to say that those people were Daddy Magic, Cool Hand Ange, and Daniel Garcia. Sammy said that the reason that he helped Jericho is because he's known Jericho since day one of Dynamite, and Chris is just being blinded by 30 years of friendship right now. Garcia responds that they're just trying to make sure that Sammy isn't the one being blinded by friendship. And Angelo asked Sammy if he thinks Jericho would be there the same way Sammy has been for him. So you weren't completely inaccurate. They just didn't call him dumb. That led into the next segment, which was the contract signing for Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay. Chris was joined by Sammy Guevara, and Ospreay was joined by that carny piece of shit, Don Callis. Shivani was the master of ceremonies for this segment. And he did not announce Don, which was phenomenal. Anyway.
He did eventually. He would
be like, "Oh, excuse me, I could not be remiss in forgetting Don Callis," and everybody booed, which was great. Callis speaks first, and he says he did what he did last week because of Will by God Ospreay. This is by with a Y, saying that the only thing bigger than Jericho is joining. The only thing bigger than Jericho joining his family was ending the career of Jericho. He offered Ospreay Jericho's head on a platter at Wembley so that he could write history instead of watching it from the sideline, and he threw away 38 years of friendship for money and power. Ospreay then hops on the mic and asks Jericho if he's even taking this match seriously, or this is all just a ploy for his band to play in Wembley. He then says that the match is going to change his life because when he beats Jericho in the biggest stadium in England, at wrestling's biggest show, he'll be the first person to beat Omega, Okada, and Jericho all within 2 months. He then says that this sets up for his contract ending with New Japan in 6 months, and he's going to be offered millions of dollars by every company, and this will help him put his kid through school and change his family's life. Jericho counters by saying without him cold calling Ospreay 5 years back, to tell him to tone it down when everybody thought he was going to kill himself, taking all these high risks and doing all these crazy moves. He told him to tone it down so he could have career longevity and not end up in a wheelchair before he's 30, like his hero, the Dynamite Kid. He then says that this isn't some vanity project. It's the biggest match of his career, and he actually said bigger than any WrestleMania, which I thought was a big deal. Or Tokyo Dome. And they've been saying a lot of WWE shit more lately, which I find very interesting and cool. But I digress. Jericho then says he's going to have to be the best Chris Jericho to beat Ospreay, but Ospreay will have to be the best Will Ospreay to beat him. And then Jericho tells him to bring his best, so he doesn't regret making that call all those years ago, keeping Will out of a wheelchair. And as Jericho finished saying the word wheelchair, god damn.
Fuck shit water.
Ospreay smacks the mic out of Jericho's hand. Jericho returns fire with a slap across the face, and security jumps in and pulls them apart before there's a giant brawl. James,
Go to me first. No. Don't go to James first. I'm sorry,
He went first
James.
last time. He went
I
first
don't
last
care. I
time.
don't care, James. With all due respect.
I feel like there's no respect here. There's no respect here.
No.
Danny,
No,
I haven't
with all
gone
due
to you twice in a
respect.
row.
That
No,
doesn't matter. You go to James first all the time.
He
Okay?
goes 50-50.
No, he never goes
tried to.
50-50. I notice every week he never goes 50-50. I'm steamrolling this week. All right. Look, Cole, we get a baseball statistician here to see how many times he goes to you first. It's you 50% of the time, and then anyone else splits that remaining 50% of the time. So if it's just you and me here, it's actually me just getting like half of a 50%, and you getting the other half of that 50%. So you still get your 50%, but then you get half of my 50% on top of that.
This is some Steiner math if I've ever seen it.
But anyway, no, because it all adds up to 100. I just explained it. But
Dan, you have a 33 to 3% chance of going first.
It's a little less than that, honestly. But anyway, let me just say, I only want to go first because this turned me around on this match so much.
Right?
Like,
it was
I am
so good.
super into this now, like out of fucking nowhere. I don't even remember the shit I said about it last week, but I'm sure we were down on it last week. But I've completely gone 180 on this. I am super excited from this. First of all, Will Ospreay looks like a fucking star, man. That rub from Orange Cassidy at last year's Forbidden Door has done wonders for this man. Now he's going on, which is weird. They didn't even mention his name, but whatever. Now he's going on to
time frame.
True. Hopefully he's going on to beat Chris Jericho to just catapult him to another level. Dude looks like a star. My guy is jack. He is the perfect ratio of jack to tall. He wasn't wearing gray sweatpants. Was the only downside of this week, but I really like the gray sweatpants and white t-shirt combo. It's a real bro look, or a real bruv look in his case.
Bruv.
And the amount of times he said bruv, and I just kept popping for it every time. This dude looks like he was about to walk backstage and bully the in-betweeners, man. Like he was on one. He really sold me on this match. And like Jericho's retort was really good too. I don't want to undermine it, but like Ospreay felt special here. And it feels like one of the key goals of this show is to launch Will Ospreay in that next level and to butter him up to bring him in once his contract's up. So I am now immediately into this. And now the outcome of this match will affect how I feel a week from now. But I have a little bit of trust right now because this just really, really got me excited. We'll put it on here, man. Like talking about his kid or step kid, which is, hats off to that. That's a whole nother, conversation. We don't really have a dad cast going on, but, good job. Yeah, just Papa G. Otherwise, we'll talk about dead dads a little later, but, me and Rev's dads are dead, so like it's us. I'm sorry, I should clarify. But yeah, Ospreay was on one tonight.
He just went to a wake this week.
Who Rev?
I did, yeah. Unfortunately.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
It's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, was it for your dad?
No.
Okay, so then Also, James, what did you think about that? Oh, the camera followed him.
The camera following him is so good.
He doesn't know. Oh man. Oh man, do you want to talk about it?
I mean, I'll take it to here because I was gonna throw it to I guess initially James, but then to you. This
got me so excited. I was so into this.
I loved this segment. Callis was great, in his brief time. Ospreay really fired me up, and he somehow cut a baby face promo while still being a heel, which was I thought was unbelievable. And then I thought Jericho had also had a great retort, as a babyface, and he said a lot of shit. So everything in him about saying that he cold called Ospreay and all that stuff. I thought bringing up WrestleMania and saying that this was bigger than that was a huge deal. I know we brought up Tokyo Dome too, and that's still a very big deal. But like, you know, they talk about New Japan all the time. They don't talk about WWE as much, even though I mentioned before they are talking about it more. But to bring up the brand of WrestleMania and then not only bring it up, say it's bigger than that was huge. So Jericho was able to sell the match while retorting Ospreay and then getting in his face about it and like taking him down a peg, but without burying him. Like, I thought they hit every note, James, perfectly in this segment.
We also really just ignored the best line of this back and forth, which was Ospreay saying, "Is this just like a stunt so you could perform in front of 80,000?" Oh, you did bring it up?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For Fozzy to
Also,
play.
I'm sorry. Can I just say
a little ploy, but
the other thing I thought was the MVP of this was Ospreay's selling of the slap. Like, he did the right amount of like just stumbling of it, where it's like, you didn't knock me out, but you caught me so off guard that I'm flailing. I'm sorry, James. Anyway, continue.
No,
you
it was
had
great.
opinions on this?
It was great. And I did want to mention one thing because you brought up the babyface aspect of this, that he cut a babyface promo or close to a babyface promo. Something that's been frustrating to a lot of fans is Ospreay is currently a babyface or is very much on a babyface journey in New Japan. It's been a very long road for his character, and it's been, like I said, it's been very frustrating to see him inexplicably then side with Callis and AEW and just be the bad guy. So I did like that. Yeah, I'm doing this for all the right reasons. I'm trying to be a dad. I'm trying to be a good husband. I'm trying to ensure, like, the day before All In, I'm going to be working in indie. Like, I love that. I love that his motivations are so pure in this instance that he unfortunately sort of had to make a deal with the devil to ensure some security for himself. I really did like that. It adds nuance to this, and it explains why. Like, there is a theory right now that Ospreay was supposed to be the babyface in this, and Jericho was supposed to be the heel, but Jericho wanted Fozzy to have a good reception and be able to do the entrance, so he kind of pushed to be the babyface in this. So
and he's not 100%, you know, and they could also maybe kind of work. I don't think either of these men are going to get booed in Wembley.
No. The crowd is going to
Jericho's going to get booed during the match, I think, but not during they were always going to sing along to the entrance because they do it when he's a heel too. So that's like bad logic there from Jericho, but I get it.
I think it's going to be more as the match progresses. I think Jericho might be a little more heelish and will become a little more facious, even though it might start the opposite way.
It's very possible. And
people say heelish all the time, but you just said facish.
I know.
Facious, and I couldn't help but fixate on it. I can't even say it. Too.
It's probably face-like is
facish.
More the correct term there.
Facetious.
Fascist.
Batman.
Oh, Nick
according
is
to George Lopez.
God damn it.
We don't respect fascism here, man. We don't.
No.
But anyway, we'll talk about we'll sidebar that, but off camera.
I gotta make a banner.
This match is going to be good. We always knew it was going to be good, but I'm with you guys. I wasn't hyped for it before this week. I gotta give Producer Boy some credit. One of his biggest complaints with AEW has been how the New Japan talent have been presented in AEW, like how they debut, how they're featured, and this was really, I think, Ospreay's first real promo on a live mic in front of an AEW crowd. And it's a shame it's taken this long because he absolutely killed it. The crowd was super behind him. And granted, they were behind him because he's as good as he is. We've seen him be good against Kenny. We've seen him be good against Orange Cassidy. So there's a reason the crowd is into him. But he's got all the tools here, and it's a shame it's taken this long. So I'm excited for how this is going to proceed. I'm excited for the match now in a way I wasn't before tonight. So they did a great job with that tonight. And yeah, Ospreay, I don't know. I don't know if I want to see him here in 6 months or if I want to see him in New Japan, but I'm excited about the aspect of him being here in 6 months.
I do think the correct answer is absolutely fucking not. I do believe that Ospreay has had a couple of pre-tapes and maybe a backstage interview, but you're right. He hasn't had a promo in front of the fans like this in the ring. So, yeah, it was nice. It was nice to see him do it. It was nice to see him absolutely fucking nail it. And I, like you said, Danny, I think all this does is just add even more hype to a match that maybe we weren't necessarily expecting, or perhaps maybe not wanting, but we got and looked decent enough on paper. But now the build, as short as it has been, has ramped this up really, really quickly into something I think we all really, really want to see. So speaking of things we all want to see, we now head to a sit-down interview with Adam Cole, much like the one MJF had earlier. And I know we don't, not that we want to see the interview, we want to see the matches with Cole and MJF. I really like this. So we start with Renee showing Adam some moments of him bonding with MJF. And Cole says to that Max has helped him find the real Adam Cole after he came back from his injury and his confidence was at an all-time low. Renee then asks Cole what it would mean to win the AEW World Championship. And Cole says it would solidify him as the best wrestler in the world, maybe even history, which is what he wanted to be when he got into the business. And having won world titles all around the world, this final one would truly cement that legacy. Renee then goes to show Adam some more clips. This time, she runs someone showing the tensions between himself and Max, including Cole talking to Roderick Strong at the beginning of this whole thing about how he doesn't trust MJF, and like MJF doesn't watch the show, so it's not a big deal that he's saying that. Cole staring at the belt when he picks it up to hand it to MJF, and Cole shoving Max after Max had talked a bunch of shit to Roddy in the ring. This absolutely sets Cole off, and he starts yelling at Renee about how he's really pissed off that nobody believes, God bless you, that nobody believes that he and Max could be friends. And he turns and yells into the camera that there are no problems between himself and MJF before storming off the set. Now, James, I like this. No, but here's why. Hear me out. Maybe you don't think it was as good as the MJF one, as Danny said earlier, but the juxtaposition between this and the MJF one, I thought was very interesting, and that's why I like it. MJF was very calm. He opened himself up, as before he probably would have been enraged by such accusations, where Cole, he started off calm and then was enraged by these questions to the point where he yelled at Renee, who he's always very cordial and courteous to. He yelled at the cameraman and he seemed defensive, which is something we haven't really seen out of Adam Cole in AEW, at least since he's come back. So that's why I like it, showing just this weird different side of Cole, and I think it adds more questions to a very question-filled series of matches coming up on Sunday.
I understand all that, and I get your logic 100%. My issue is the nuance is a little bit lost here. I've loved this program, and I've loved this feud / rivalry / friendship / I don't know what it is. And it's all been driven by, how does this end? How are they going to remain friends? Is MJF going to revert back to his normal ways? Is Adam Cole going to be the one who turns on MJF? There are so many possibilities. We discussed this last week. There are so many possibilities, all very satisfying. There are very few unsatisfying ways this can go. So I'm not thrilled that they seem to be so heavily implying that Adam Cole is going to be the one to turn on MJF. I don't appreciate the fact that it's like, oh boy, we have to be really worried about Adam Cole. Like, I don't like that. I don't mind the subtle touches, like last week where it looked like maybe he was going to hit the super kick. Just like this week, I didn't mind how the show ended with MJF in the ring, and I know we'll talk about that later. But you hit the nail on the head. Adam Cole is usually, or has been usually, so calm, cool, collected, so reserved, so well put together, that this notion that all of a sudden a few days before the pay-per-view, he cracks and he's just like, there's nothing wrong. Like, it felt like forced drama for the sake of it. And I would have appreciated if he had the same tune as MJF. That way, if Cole does in fact turn on MJF on Sunday, it would feel a lot more of a shock than as opposed to if he does turn on Cole on MJF on Sunday. It's like, well, yeah, do you see how fucking crazy he acted on Wednesday? I get the importance of it, and I agree with you on that. This was a way more important segment than the MJF one because of what it did. But I wish that they were able to just hold a little bit more control on it and not foreshadow things. And maybe this is a red herring. Maybe Adam Cole isn't going to be the one to turn on MJF, even though I think we all kind of agree that's the thing that makes the most sense to propel these guys forward moving forward. But I just wish they weren't so heavy-handed with it. I loved the line he said to Renee, and I apologize if you covered it already. I love that line. Max helped me remember who I am. Max helped remind me who the real Adam Cole is. I love that because that leaves so much room for interpretation. Is he the fun best friend guy who likes to, rib people? Or is he the backstabbing asshole who's going to go into business for himself?
I thought it meant that MJF was helping Cole when he was recovering from his concussion.
No, and that's another way it could have been interpreted. But given his, I'm now seeing all this as he's 100% turning heel, and MJF helped remind him the heel that he himself was. So yeah. I wish it wasn't so heavy-handed. That's really my only issue with it. But otherwise, Cole is great. His delivery of it was great. It's just that's how the segment was scripted. But his delivery was great. This was great. And I now know my roadmap for what I want AEW to be for the next 6 to 8 months. So good stuff. And this just continues to be, even though I didn't like how this was handled, the best storyline in AEW right now.
Yeah. And that's exactly how I took that line to mean as well, though you can interpret it any way you can. But I do agree with you that the heavy-handedness, perhaps, of this segment would steer you in that direction. But I do like Danny, just you kind of see between the two interview segments how, good guy Adam Cole has clearly rubbed off on MJF, but scumbag MJF has clearly rubbed off on Adam Cole, because I think both reacted and interacted to and with Renee the way the other would have at the beginning of this program.
That's a good point. That's interesting.
I know you didn't like this stuff. You said you didn't.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't realize you were throwing it to me. I was really just thinking about what he said. I was like, yeah, that's a good catch right there. No, it's not that I didn't like it. James didn't like it. I liked it. I just thought the MJF one was like 1,000 times better. Look, James said a whole bunch of things, and I don't want to take away from his points. So instead, I'll just make a snide remark discrediting them and move on. But it just wasn't as strong because it was a little over the top, a little heavy-handed. But I still think it was important because I think maybe this means we're setting up for them, the same way after they lost the tag title match, which they should have won because neither of them ever got arrested for, assault with a weapon. But
it's assault, brother.
The same way that MJF thought about hitting Cole with the title and Cole accepted it and was ready to take it. And then Cole made the decision. MJF made the decision not to. I think we could see the role reverse off this pay-per-view. I think MJF wins, and then Cole has to be the one to struggle with his emotions. And he is going to want to snap, and then maybe he won't, and they'll hug it out, and everyone will go home happy. And then they could beat FTR for the tag titles at All Out. Or no, they could beat the Young Bucks for the tag titles at All Out. They could win the tag titles at All Out. Is what I'm trying to say. There is a happy ending that can't come out of this. But I think no matter what, this still is the best story. And all of wrestling right now, let's let's be real here. The bloodline has been on a downward turn since WrestleMania, maybe because the wrong guy won the match, but this isn't a WWE show. And then there's nothing else that could even compare. It's those two things. And right now I'm giving it to this story. Maybe in a few months it'll switch back, but yeah, this is the best story in wrestling. This somehow they've worked their way into it, not only like deserving but earning the main event.
Absolutely.
Like, this doesn't feel like 2 months ago I would have been like weird that this is going to main event the show.
Yep.
Just because Cole never felt like the Cole we know, but now we're here and it's awesome.
I'm putting in a number 2 vote for Alpha Academy as best.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Number two.
It's not as good. It is just as fun. It's not as good of a story, but it is fun and it's fantastic. You know what? Can we have a quick Raw review?
I mean,
it was amazing. But anyway,
Raw was actually good. But yeah, I like I said, I thought the juxtaposition with this was great. James, I do think there's a chance that this maybe is a red herring, but yeah. I do think what happens in the Ring of Honor tag title match, and not to give away too much from the prediction show, but I do think whatever happens there will definitely play a lot into what goes on in the main event at Wembley. And it could give us a pretty decent idea of what's going to happen in terms of the result, but I still think there's just so many open possibilities coming out of this week that I genuinely don't know what's going to happen. And like I said last week, it's really intriguing me. There's still the Roderick Strong and Kingdom of the Soul, and they come up a bit later. So I'm loving this, Danny. I think you're absolutely right. This is the best storyline in wrestling right now, and it's because it's so wide open that we're not actually sitting here being like, oh, this is so clearly going to happen. We're like, it could, but will it? And I'm truly and truly enjoying being in the dark for once.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Let's move on to what I think is probably Danny's favorite segment, or one of Danny's favorite segments of the year. And before that actually happened, we did have Darby Allin and Nick Wayne versus Swerve Strickland and AR Fox in a Tornado Tag Team match. And Mogul Embassy came out hot, and they were dominating early, but right before commercial, Wayne hit a double Wayne's World on the outside, and then Darby hit a double coffin drop, and we went into the break. As we came back out of it, Mogul Embassy is back in control, and Wayne gets hit with a neck breaker counter as he went for another Wayne's World, which just looked absolutely filthy. But Darby is able to recover after getting taken out on the outside, and he breaks it up. Darby gains some momentum. He hits a sick tope onto Swerve up against the announce desk, which was actually on the floor this week. I think, are they filming the double Collision show? Is that tonight?
Yeah, tonight is everything. Collision, Rampage, Ring of Honor. It's a lot of wrestling for those people today.
Must have been a great show. I bet you we got to keep an eye out for stuff coming out in the next couple of days to see how all that went. As they say, no news is good news. But Darby took out Swerve against the announce desk with the tope. He then took out Fox on the outside and put him in a chair. But Swerve was able to come over and take Darby down before he was able to do anything with it. They put Darby in the chair, and Swerve hit a Swerve stomp. They went back into the ring, and Wayne gets hit with a corkscrew brainbuster by AR Fox. He's able to kick out. He then gets hit with, I think, was a Phoenix Splash. He's able to kick out. Wayne gets hit with a last call by Swerve. He is again able to kick out. Swerve and Fox are pissed. They put Wayne in the corner. They double thrust kick him, or a big boost, whatever it was. He goes down. Fox goes up for a frog splash. And as he comes down, nobody's home. Wayne rolls out of the way. This then leads to Darby coming to. He grabs Swerve very quickly. Nick Wayne gets in a very creative pin. I didn't even know what it was. It looked awesome. He's able to keep Fox down for the 1, 2, 3. And Nick Wayne picks up the victory.
First win on Dynamite, right?
I think so, yes. Hello, Hardcore Casual. Good to have you. We see your question. We will get to it after the segment. After the match, Darby and Wayne leave with in celebration, but Swerve grabs a mic, saying that this was very disappointing and he blames AR Fox. He calls Fox a loser, says that this match was a test, and if he can't trust him to beat an 18-year-old, he can't trust him in Wembley Stadium. He then tells Prince Nana to do his dirty work for him. Nana fires AR Fox from the Mogul embassy, and Brian Cage comes out of fucking nowhere and takes Fox out and hits him with a drill claw. Darby and Wayne then come back out, and they are joined by Sting, and they drive Swerve and Fox and Cage off, and they drive Swerve, Nana, and Fox, and Cage off. Jeez, Fox is down bad. And Darby grabs the mic, tells Fox that he forgives him for everything, that he, helped him when he was at the lowest part of his life. He gave him a home, and he saved his life. So just take my hand and let me help you up. And Fox accepts his hand, and Darby helps him up, and they hug it out. Darby then turns to Swerve and says that he's way dumber than he ever thought he was, because he now doesn't have a third man for the coffin match, or is it coffin match?
Coffin match.
The coffin match. Oh yeah, because Darby coffin dropped down. They don't have a third man for the coffin match on Sunday. Swerve and Nana start laughing, and in comes the TNT champion Christian Cage, flanked by actual TNT champion Luchasaurus. And quite frankly, I could recap what Cage said here, but I feel like Danny wants to do it way more than I do, because this is why this is Danny's favorite segment. Christian went right after Nick Wayne's dead dad.
Sure.
He got ahead of himself in that promo too. Christian kind of stumbled just because of how excited he was to talk about this man's dead father.
I love you playing into it too. It's so good.
He is a professional. He is one of the best promos, I think. And he stumbled just because of how eager he was to get into the dead dad stuff. I love he's in on the meme. I love it. But please continue.
As we all are, everyone loves a good dead dad joke, or I guess not even joke in this case, but who doesn't love it? But okay, let me also frame it like this. Christian came out to save this fucking shit. This was, before I talk about how great Christian is, I'm going to talk about how dumb this was. This was so fucking dumb.
I agree.
The AR Fox of it all. What was the point of any of this? The dude looked like a badass 2 weeks ago or whenever, when they murdered this kid in his fucking shit in the gym while he was wrestling. Like, what was the point of all that? That was so dumb. Just to be kicked out immediately and then be forgiven by the faces. That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. James, do you want to try to?
So Tony Khan had a phone call, like, interview thing today, or it was either yesterday or today, a conference call, and he alluded to the fact that there were a couple
several
of matches,
people,
that real life situations caused changes to the card.
Yeah,
so
and this had to have been one of them.
It had to have been, because this
was the dumbest thing in the world.
Even as far as last week, they filmed that segment where Sting and Darby invaded AR Fox's indie and attacked the school. Like, that, you don't do that if you plan on changing the story. Something had to have happened. I don't know what. I don't know if there were any issues, but this was a weird change. Granted, if you have to make that change, this is a great pivot. Christian Cage is a great pivot.
No, we got an upgrade in every way possible.
I feel terrible, though.
What he did was so dumb.
Yeah.
That it literally makes me think everyone's it. This is the first time I've been like, oh, Darby, you look kind of stupid here. And you tried to pretend that Sammy was getting over as a face a month ago, and like, this is the dumbest you've ever looked in the whole company.
He is so consistent. He is so consistent.
Continuity, it's important. But thank God Christian came out here to properly introduce himself to Nick Wayne, someone he has been dying to meet. Because what does Christian see? Christian sees a young boy in need of mentorship, because he doesn't have a role model, because his dad is no longer with us. And I'm very, that's unfortunate. I can't imagine what it's like to lose the love of a father. I can't imagine what it's like to ever have it, but to lose it must be like something, I guess. I don't know.
It's not
Rev,
great,
is it
Bob.
something? Okay, yeah.
It's not great.
There we
Bob.
go. Thanks. I got to consult someone sometimes, who knows a little bit more about the subject. But, he just could not wait to talk about his dead dad and just say, hey, like, I have no idea who your dad was, so he must have been a fucking nobody. But apparently he was a wrestler. He's like, but if you want, I could take you under my wing if you need real mentorship because, look how great his last mentee, I guess, it turned out. I mean, he sucks, but like he's at least embraced Christian's lessons, and now is like no different.
And he won a championship, a fake championship, but he won a championship.
Yeah,
it's a rogue championship.
It's fair. Rogue championship.
It's like on par with Jeff Jarrett's fucking Leatherface title. Okay, they're about the same. At least, like Jarrett's self-aware. In the modern times, Jeff Jarrett is self-aware. Let me preface that. In modern times only. But God, Christian was fantastic here, and he made this feel like even the crowd. He was stumbling his words because the crowd was excited because they knew what was coming too. Dad. God, it combines like two of my favorite things, and wrestling and Anthony Jeselnik's stand-up, and one perfect heel in Christian Cage. It's just, I love this man. The segment was so dumb, but thank God Christian and Luchasaurus were there to save it. Oh God, what a nightmare.
I didn't know they filmed the Darby and Sting invade Air Fox's school thing. I'm a little upset I didn't see it. B, I love the line, Danny, after he mentioned that his Nick Wayne's dad was a wrestler, but he didn't know him because he must have been a scrub. And then he goes, I guess that doesn't mean that you have much to live up to.
Yeah.
Like, it's just completely kills him.
He commits to being the biggest prick possible. It's beautiful.
Oh, it's so good, James. I mean, I agree with Danny. This wasn't the most well put together I guess end to this story heading into the pay-per-view, but if there are outside and unforeseen circumstances, this is a pretty good way to pivot. You had the match on Saturday, on Collision with Darby and Luchasaurus and Christian getting involved, so there is history there. It makes sense for Christian to come in, and if this, like you said, if you're gonna pivot, this is a really good pivot.
It absolutely is. I feel the way of getting here could have been better. I beyond just the fact that like it sucks for AR Fox to not be on this card now and to be out of this match. I feel you also took away the thing that made him the most interesting he's been since he's been in AEW.
Oh yeah, like I was gonna say, if Dark was still around, go right back to Dark, bro. I don't care about you anymore.
It's such a bummer. And I think you could have just had him be taken out because of that attack that Sting and Darby did at the school. Like payback for what happened to Nick Wayne. That's all you needed. Keep him as a heel. He misses the show. You could reinsert him at All Out or something.
Yeah, but and just bring in, same thing.
Exactly,
Christian right in there.
It is a bit of a bummer. Again, Christian Cage is definitely a great substitute. And I think the card
he's an improvement, not a substitute.
I don't want. I mean, it could be both technically. But
is Christian wrestling or is Luchasaurus wrestling?
I believe Christian will be wrestling because Luchasaurus is going to be wrestling it all out.
I'm sure Luchasaurus will get involed, but I guess Christian will be the main guy.
I am very intrigued by this. I got to tell you, I love Swerve so much. The Mogul Embassy is just a terrible group. It's better than the two henchmen he had. It's absolutely better than Brock Lesnar wannabe, Parker Boudreaux, and Trench was his name.
Tattoo Face. He might as well be Taserface from Guardians 2.
No, that's too kind to him. But regardless, it's an improvement over that. But this group is so weird. The other two from the trios championships with Brian Cage,
Gates of Agony.
The Gates of Agony are there sometimes, and then they're not. What? It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't like the group. I think Swerve is better than that group, but it is what it is. I'm happy he's wrestling at the show, but man, considering all the rumors about Keith Lee, one of those guys is the winner. One of those guys is the Jannetty.
I think they're both Jannetties right now, actually, but one's just on TV.
One's wrestling Sting. I call that a win in my book, but I don't know. I'm bummed. I'm bummed. It's going to be a good match, but I'm getting nervous. I'm getting weirdly nervous. Sting and Darby are going to lose.
I mean, I hope not.
Well, we'll talk.
No shame in losing to Christian, but
we'll talk about it on the prediction show. But I'm getting nervous for the Stinger.
As for Swerve, I kind of like the Mogul Embassy. Like like you said, it is a weird combination of people. But I thought Fox was the best addition to that group far because he fit in the best. Now, honestly, you could have done the three guys of Fox, Swerve, and Nana, and I think I'd be okay with that. And if we saw Cage and Gates of Agony go a different direction, I think I would have been fine with that. Or even just be a loose affiliation, because I think Cage kind of does fit in with them, at least a little bit. Gates of Agony are definitely, sticking out like a sore thumb in this grouping. But Fox was by far the guy who fit in best. So taking that away, for whatever reason it may be, is unfortunate. But, I guess it is what it is. And could have been done better, like you said, James. I think your idea was far better than what actually played out tonight. I did want to get into the chat really quick. Our friend Hardcore Casuals is here. He first asked, where's the Harry Potter looking guy? I assume he means producer boy. Guess he's off tonight. I don't know who else he met. Who else could he have met?
I think it has to be producer boy.
Yeah. Is there anybody in wrestling that could be the Harry Potter looking guy?
Oh, maybe. I just assumed he meant on the pod. Also, who is the most British wrestler of modern day? It's either Ospreay or Zack Sabre Jr.
Oh, it's absolutely Zack Sabre Jr. It's absolutely everything that man says is just pure British comedy.
Yeah, and he curses a lot. I remember he did a hit on one of the few rampages I've watched recently. And I think it wasn't live, obviously, but I think it was broadcasted live to the crowd before he went out for his match. And you can tell he stopped himself from saying fuck like 6 different times. It was great. So I think Zack Sabre Jr. is probably the most British wrestler of the modern era. I don't
all
know
time British Bulldog.
Yeah, I was gonna say all time is probably British Bulldog. All right. Hope we answered your questions well there, Hardcore Casual. Keep them coming if you got anything else. But in the meantime, let's move on to the next segment, which was another sit-down interview, this time with the Young Bucks and FTR together at the same time, which was cool.
Before you get started, can we just round of applause for Renee, the true MVP of tonight's episode? She had more screen time than anybody else.
Yeah, she was absolutely great tonight.
Can you know what? Can we, in a bit of time saving, just all agree that we've all kind of turned to the Young Bucks side in this feud? We're all on Team Bucks here, like
yes.
Because I am
Navarro. I was in London already earlier this year. I couldn't put myself through that flight again, and at least not so soon. It is heartbreaking for me that I can't be there, but I will always have the first all-in, the magical all-in, and God.
Keep in mind where it is, and that answers why he's not going to be there.
I was just there.
And you hated every second.
And you're like, never again.
I loved, sidebar. I spent a week in London and a day in Ireland, and the one day in Ireland was way better than the week in London. And the food was better, the tours were better, but Ireland didn't have Star Wars Celebration. All right, Navarro, I'm waiting to go to Italy, so absolutely, I'm with you on that one.
My grandma's going. I'm excited for her.
That's sick.
Anyway, All right, back to this interview really quickly. Renee asked FTR about saving the Bucks last week, and the Bucks thank FTR, but FTR says they didn't really do it for them. Renee then asked if this is the biggest match of their careers. The Bucks start off by saying that it is by far, just due to all the pressure of it being the second All In after doing the first one, and them having 8 times as many people at this one as opposed to the first one. And then Nick hops in and says that he thinks it's a bigger deal for FTR since the Bucks are already made men. If they lose, it's okay. If FTR loses, it kind of hurts their legacy. Cash just ignores it, and he's ignoring a lot of things right now, saying that for them, this is also the biggest match of their careers and their legacy as well. Renee asks if this match is more about their legacy or the titles. And Dax says it's more about the titles, but their legacy is important. And then he starts going into the whole thing about this, how he feeds his family and all that crap and that entire shtick. And in the biggest face move in the history of wrestling, Matt Jackson cuts him off from saying that. And he's like, dude, you always fucking say that, but you got to remember it's us who brought you to AEW, and then my TBS app crapped out, and I don't know what happened at the end of this. So James, do you want to take it from here?
So you didn't get the YouTube line?
No, I did not.
Oh my god. So you didn't see when Cash fucking pulled up his shirt and revealed his holster?
Empty holster. It's in evidence right now. But no, was it Matt or Nick, Danny, who said let's we're all trying to be respectful, we're all trying to be polite, but let's be honest. At the end of the day, everyone's gonna, when the Young Bucks finally hang it up, we're all gonna be recognized for being, we're both gonna be recognized for being the best tag team in wrestling history, and FTR are just gonna be remembered for being named on the Young Bucks YouTube show. And it was such a good fucking line that I butchered myself. But it was such a good line. And it calls all the way back to, if you remember, say it with
Fuck
me.
The revival.
Fuck the revival. Yeah,
even I remember that. But I really love, and it's one of the lines that Nick did go over that, sorry, whichever Jackson caught off Dax, who brought up his family. It's just like,
Matt.
Yeah, of course, you brought up your family. And I was like, yes, thank God someone pointed it out on fucking TV.
So I said,
this guy,
biggest face move in history.
Yep.
It's like, bro, I hate when WWE had this problem for a while where a babyface would win a title and then it's like, oh, my family, like when Kofi won in Kofi Mania. And so the Dax does it, but Dax does it a lot smoother than cliche baby faces, but he does it ad nauseum. So many of these people have kids, bro. We get it, bro. You want to talk about family? Maybe watch what your fucking partner's doing in his spare time.
I mean, granted, his partner is definitely Fast and the Furiousing it a little bit. So, family.
Yeah, as far as shoot interviews go, this was fine. But it did have me hype. It did have me hype for the match. And it is fitting that FTR did save the Bucks from a beatdown from Bullet Club Gold and the Guns. Because if anyone knows about gun safety, it's my man Cash right here. My guy is bulletproof out here. There's no getting to him. It doesn't matter if you're the Law or the Young Bucks. My guy is locked and loaded and ready to go.
Hey, look, Producer Boy has showed up behind the scenes, so they go hardcore casual. I'm super upset I missed that line, but at the same time, I've been waiting for them to say it too. So now I'm really disappointed I missed that line.
It was great. Once again,
that link.
This got me hyped for a match I was already hyped for. I was hyped for it on paper, but this got me invested into it more because he really did. They really did fucking own FTR, which is good because FTR has been so good on the mic for the past since they turned face. So for them to for the Young Bucks who aren't known for their mic work particularly, to just put them in their place that was really good. I'm so pro Young Bucks right now. Like, this is great. I mean, I've never been anti Young Bucks, but like,
no. You know what? Fuck it. I don't care. I'm not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth here. I'm just happy.
I'm not gonna look a gift horse in the mouse.
I know. I'm Christian tonight. I'm just so excited that I'm talking over myself.
Yeah, it's definitely something I'm gonna have to go back and watch just to hear them say that line. But I'm excited for this. I think the wind was taken a little bit out of my sails after everything happened with Cash, but I think it's come back. So
just think about it this way: it gave you a team to actually root for in this match.
It gave you ammunition, if you will.
I mean, I think it was always kind of pulling a little more for the Bucks than FTR, but yeah, no, I'm definitely more behind the Bucks. All right, let's move on.
But now you have something in the chamber, you know.
Honestly, bravo.
I say, don't blow us all away with all these puns, Danny.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'll just try to keep them all in this one clip, you know, and then we can empty the clip. Yeah.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Timothy here. And in today's video, I wanted to talk about finding jobs, and more specifically, how to find a job quickly.
All right.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
I didn't know where that was going, but anyway, yeah, like you were saying, right? We're moving on.
Yes, we are moving on, and we will move on to the women's segment of the night because once again, I got stuck at like 9:35. We had a quick promo package for the AEW Women's 4-Way Championship match on Sunday. It's gonna be cool, I think. And then we moved into Ruby Soho versus Sky Blue. They both had pre-match picture-in-picture promos, which I thought was a nice touch. They don't do it too often in AEW, so when they do them, I enjoy them. But I only bring it up because I thought it was notable that Ruby Soho called out TBS champion Chris Statlander in hers. So that's why I bring it up. Let's go ahead to the end of the match here. There was a nice back and forth of some roll-ups and counter roll-ups, but then after that ends, Sky Blue is able to land a head kick and then hit the Skyfall, but Ruby is able to kick out of that. After some more back and forth, Ruby is able to counter a Code Blue, and she lands a No Future, and then follows it up with a Destination Unknown to pick up the win. And after the match, she looks into the camera and calls out Statlander again. So, James, as I feel like we say every week, you stick the women at 9:35. The women put on, pretty good match, and we move on. But I do, like I said, it's notable. Soho called out Statlander, and I think that's going to be a pretty good program.
Oh, I think it's going to be great. It's a shame that it's not going to be at All In. It's more than likely going to be for All Out.
Yep. It's still cool, but
I know. What do you expect them to have 2 women's matches on All In? Are you kidding me?
I mean, I know Tony's thinking is, hey, this is a fatal 4-way. That's double the amount of women I normally have on a show, so this is great. But it would have been nice, but good for Ruby for picking up a W. Sky Blue does legitimately keep getting better and better week in and week out, so I'm happy with her development. But yeah, this was pretty by the numbers. It's a shame that this was the only thing we got from the women tonight. And in a weird way, it kind of made me wish that Ruby was just in the match on Sunday. But it is what it is.
Right, like how would they have done it if it was like the 3 Outcasts and Cheetah?
I'm not saying it would have worked, but I'm just sad that Ruby's not in a match at All In.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah. Like I'm not saying she should have taken like Britt's spot or something. I'm just saying I would have been nice for Ruby to be featured.
Danny, I think they maybe could have done it where they did it would have had to be. I would have made it a 6-way at that point because then you have the 3 Outcasts and then probably like 3 of the originals. And then
6 women on the show. Nick, who do you think Tony is?
See,
who do you think he is?
James already shooting it down because he hates women. So
we mark it down here, sir.
First of all, we mark things down. And second of all, look, we give James very small amount of shit on this show, but if there's one person on this planet, if there are 2 people on this planet that hate women more than James, it is Triple H and Tony Khan. So I got your back here, buddy.
Thank you.
You got the bronze medal in this case. But yeah, like I don't care. Like I don't know. I'm excited for Statlander Soho. More than the Fatal 4-Way, honestly. But that's also because I know Statlander's run hasn't been like phenomenal or anything, but ever since Collision. Oh God, you gotta save that one, producer boy. We're gonna need that a lot. But ever since Collision, like the women's matches on Collision have been way better than the Dynamite ones. They've been so much more fun. The crowd was super into them. Like the Statlander Mercedes Martinez match was way better than like the matches we got from the women on Dynamite. And then the tag match with Willow and Stat versus Martinez and Diamante was actually a lot of fun. So like, I'm not a Collision guy per se, but I guess for the women's division, I am a Collision guy because, so far so good. But yeah, I'm more excited for the future than there's nothing to say about this match. But James is right. Sky Blue's improving.
Yeah, that's fair to say. Like when you get thrown into the slot every week, it's kind of hard to care about these matches. But I'm glad they're being given time on Collision and they're having good matches because
it's still only one women's match, but like it's so far they've been pretty good.
But just every week we should just put up a picture of that person who held up the sign that said book the women's division better, because that's all I think we want. Just book this fucking division better. Really not that more difficult. And I understand this was a very crowded show heading into a very big pay-per-view, and the women only have one match on it, but A, they should have more than one match. And B, that should then lead to them having more than one segment on this show. So book the fucking division better, Tony. They deserve it. They bust their ass. And we deserve it too, man. We deserve it too, man. I want to see good matches out of these women and good storylines and stuff.
Good women things.
Thank you, Kalisto. All right, let's move on to Danny's other favorite segment of the night. Which saw the Acclaimed call out the House of Black. We first had a quick vignette from the House of Black in which Malachi Black, almost said Alistair, did a voiceover about death as they put Billy Gunn's boots into a trash compactor and destroyed them. Following the video, the Acclaimed hit the ring and they're fucking pissed. No music, straight into the ring. Bowens calls out the House of Black, telling them to hit the lights, come out and fight them. The House of Black actually kind of hit the lights. They came out to their full creepy ass entrance, eventually turning off the lights. And then when they come back on, they have surrounded the ring and then proceed to jump in the ring and absolutely maul the Acclaimed. Both guys get taken down. And then after that, Brody King is about to take out Caster with the chain they stole off of him last week. When the Acclaimed's music then hits and Daddy Ass comes down to the ring to back them up. The House of Black decides that retreating at this point is the better part of valor, and they leave the ring, and Billy grabs a mic. He says that after they defeated him the second time, Billy had to do the hardest thing he's ever done, which was leave behind Max and Anthony and leave behind a great career. But then they hurt his boys.
No, his kids.
His kids. Yes, they hurt his kids. I did actually write kids. I should have said kids. And then they destroyed his boots and essentially pissed all over a Hall of Fame career. So he's pissed the fuck off now. What's going on, Nas? Good to see you, man. So Billy challenges the House of Black to an all-or-nothing trios title match at Wembley. And it'll be Max Caster and Anthony Bowens, but not Daddy Ass, because he unfortunately can't make the trip. Instead, those two men will be teaming with badass Billy Gunn,
Woo!
A man that Billy never thought he'd see again.
I loved it. I got excited. I'm sorry.
No, go for it, dude.
Oh man, I don't know how this happened. I thought for the longest time legal issues were preventing badass Billy Gunn from appearing in AEW. That's why he had to be Daddy Ass instead. But man, was that awesome. 59-year-old Billy Gunn got like one of the biggest reactions of the night, and it felt so earned. It felt so genuine. And Danny, I got to give it to you. You said something a while back here on the pod, and like it stuck with me. And tonight really nailed that for me. For the longest time, it was the Acclaimed, then Daddy Ass, and then you said no, it's just the Acclaimed. The three of them are the Acclaimed. And I genuinely feel that now. Like, I felt it for a little while, but like it really hit me tonight. The three of them are what make the Acclaimed. And Billy was such a, like, they were always going to get over on their own. Billy just helped, was like an extra piece to that puzzle to make things like pop more. But man, it just felt right for so long, and I've missed them. I know, like, we never want to see the Acclaim come out without a rap, but it felt so right. Like tonight, there was no games, there was no playing around, there was no being silly. They disrespected Billy Gunn, and that's not going to stand. And I fucking love that. So I know that the Acclaimed are your boys, Danny. I'm sorry I jumped in on this one, but the Billy Gunn of it all really, really, really got me. It made me really happy. And I don't know, maybe this is going to be Billy's retirement match. Maybe that's why he was able to get some concessions from an old DX buddy, maybe. I don't know. But either way, this was beautiful. I'm excited for it. I love Daddy Ass, but I love badass Billy Gunn. And I'm setting myself up, but man, I pray there's some way possible we can hear the music on Sunday. I want it so bad, but this was amazing. I loved it. And I don't know if we've commented on it, but Malachi Black shaven, that's a main eventer look right there. That man, he does not have a beard. He has not had a beard, and his face is terrifying in the best ways possible.
I guess I always get distracted by the face paint. I didn't.
You got to give it a look. You got to give it a look.
Okay. I'll take your word on that, but I will say, I think James nailed it pretty well. I just want to say how, like, the Acclaimed are Billy Gunn's kids, and I don't blame him, because who the fuck would want his actual kids, you know? I'm a big fan of them, and we always have been big fans of them here on the pod, but, like, you know, they don't compare to the Acclaimed.
We've always been fans of the Gunn.
Yeah, I think so, right? I feel like there's no proof to the contrary.
I think we've always kind of liked them. I just think we were upset with their booking for a little while.
No, Danny did not like them for a while. I didn't like them for a while, but Danny didn't like them for a while either.
I don't know what you're talking about. When did I not like them? Besides them beating the Acclaim, which they still should have never done. There's no reason, because you know what? Acclaim could have lost it to FTR months later. You know, we could still be here. But anyway, I don't think this should be his retirement match, because they need to win the trios titles. I don't give a fuck House of Black. I love you guys, but, like, you know, just put it back on the Acclaimed. They'll be on TV every week. They're over as fuck. They sell merch. They're gonna get, like, they bring in numbers. The Acclaimed are money. They're still a hot as fuck act, whereas, like, House of Black has faded quite a bit. Just count your losses and move on. I think House of Black would just do better without the titles at this point, and they can continue their collision feud with Andrade or whatever the fuck they're doing. Give Daddy Ass a title. My guy deserves it more. My guy deserves it more than Sting does. Like, bro, like, he can still go. It's insane. The guy's in better shape than I've ever been in my life, and he's like 28 years older than me. Like, it is insane. He's lived double my life, and he's more jacked than I can ever hope to be. Give him a fucking title. Give him a title for being the best member of DX by far, as we established last week. I believe we did the pecking order that we all universally agreed upon, and he's at the very top, as by far. I forgot the rest of the order, honestly, but I just know Triple H was last. I want to say X-Pac was second. I don't remember, but
he was something like that.
Yeah, he was up there. Sean's up there too, but
I think that was your top three. I forget where you.
Yeah, I think it's Daddy Ass. I think it's Daddy Ass. Sean. We said X-Pac, but you said Sean, X-Pac, China.
then like
Road
50 feet of
Dogg.
crap.
No, then yeah, like 50 feet of crap, then Road Dogg. Then
Well, I guess Rick Rude also would be above.
yeah, Rick Rude was
yeah.
above Road Dogg. Yeah, and yeah,
But that's not fair. I want to put Road Dogg above the crap because he's just a bad person, but like his character is always great. You know, he's always entertaining. Like I can separate the two because he's not saying egregious shit. Like he's just saying dumb shit. You know, he's not saying harmful shit. He's just a. He's
I feel like if I dig hard enough, it wouldn't take
I'm
that
sure.
too long.
Cody
I
did an anti-vax thing, but I don't remember off the top of my head. I remember you did put X-Pac on the list after you forgot about him because I mentioned him, and then you were like, "Oh yeah, he called out the Hell in a Cell ending with Bray Wyatt."
And he's also tag team partners with Kane, so
he can immediately shot him in the top 3 status.
See, Kane's a perfect example. All right, hey, Glenn Jacobs, kind of a bit of an asshole, but I don't care. Kane's still like my favorite of all time. If he every time he comes back, I'm gonna pop. I will always separate the two, so I can do that for Road Dogg.
Danny big time Kane tonight,
but you can't do it for FTR hair. You can't do it for Jimmy Uso, and you can't do it for another guy in AEW.
Who's the other guy in AEW?
I don't want to say his name.
Oh well, that guy's just not. He's not entertaining regardless.
He was in the most entertaining aspect of last week's AEW. He was in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre death match of Doom on ice.
Jeff Jarrett can make anything entertaining. That doesn't mean anything.
I do believe he was referring to a gentleman who was in tonight's main event.
A different Jeff.
But anyway, give Daddy Ass the title. That is all. We can move on, I guess.
Yeah. I'm so here for that, and we'll talk way more about who deserves the titles on our prediction show coming out in the next couple of days. So be sure to keep on lookout for that. Look out for that. But as Danny said, let us move on to the main event of the evening, which saw Aussie Open face off against the Hardys for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship match. Also, whoever phone is ringing, if you want to get that, please be my guest. Anyway, the Hardys gained an early advantage, taking it to Aussie Open, but Aussie Open were able to take it back during the commercial break, and they were able to hold it up until Jeff tagged Matt in. Matt was then able to take it to the Aussies, hitting a DDT on Davis to drive him out of the ring, and then a side effect on Fletcher. Matt tags Jeff back in, and he hit a superplex followed by a Jeff splash, but Davis recovers and breaks up the pin. The Hardys then drive Fletcher and Davis into their corner, but Matt gets taken out with a powerbomb from the second rope, and Jeff gets hit with a knee before being hit with Aussie Open's finisher, which I didn't hear because Excalibur mumbled it. And then he gets pinned, and Aussie Open retain their titles. After the match, they grab a mic, and Fletcher says that there will be no double clothesliner Saturday or a kangaroo kick or new champions, baby. And then that prompts Cole and MJF to come out for a stare down. But when they go to turn around and leave, Aussie Open grab them, and a hockey fight breaks out. Aussie Open again takes the early advantage, and they go actually to set up for a double clothesline on Adam Cole, but MJF recovers, jumps on Davis's back, and then Cole takes out Fletcher, and then both men go down. Where was I? Oh, with Fletcher, right. Then Cole and MJF set up for their own double clothesline, but Davis is able to avoid it, and he ducks out of the ring. Fletcher is still stunned in the corner, so MJF sees an opportunity to go for the kangaroo kick. But as he's starting to jump around with it, never mind. As he's starting to jump around with it, Davis hops back up on the apron and hits MJF in the back of the head. Cole takes him down with him being Davis, down with a super kick. And then Fletcher sets up to go take out a distracted Cole, but MJF saves Cole and takes out Fletcher from behind, lifting him up for another Cole super kick. Cole lines it up. He goes for the kick, but Fletcher ducks, and MJF barely catches it. Cole looks absolutely mortified.
I wouldn't say barely. That was one of the smoothest catches I've ever seen. He stone-faced it.
I was trying to add some dramatic flair to this retelling. Anyway, Cole looks mortified, and the two getting a stare down with MJF briefly breaking it to grab his title and hold it up above Cole. Cole then takes a step back and extends his hand to shake MJF, but Max instead decides to walk away, bumping Cole as he heads towards the ropes. He then stops there, thinks about it for a second, pulls out the Dynamite diamond ring and puts it on. Thinks about it again and decides to put it away, turns around, and he hugs it out with Cole before hitting the ropes to celebrate with the crowd. Cole kind of looks bewildered here, and he's just staring at MJF as he, goes up to the ropes and then gets down and goes up to another, up in another corner. And then eventually he shakes it off and he joins MJF in the celebration. So the match, Danny, I thought was okay. The Hardys can still put on a good match, despite their, despite their age. But
Matt can still go. Yeah.
This it did what it needed to do, in terms of the match. And then I like the segment. I like the segment afterwards a lot. I think we got a lot more of the bookends to what happened during the interviews. And
he said my name, so it's too late. You said my name.
Just question. Did we talk about the Roddy backstage interview?
It doesn't matter.
Oh, I did skip it. I do apologize. There was the Roddy backstage interview. It was actually after Ruby Soho.
We almost saved some time. Thanks, James.
It was only a very quick interview in which Renee asked Roddy what he knows about Cole and MJF's relationship. And Roddy says that all he knows is at the end of All In, we'll see who the real Adam Cole is and who the real MJF is, which actually I think plays even more into this storyline and the questions we have coming out of it, Danny, as did the end of this show, because we see MJF continue to almost be the douchey MJF we've always known, think better of it and be the friend to Adam Cole, whereas we're seeing Adam Cole maybe starting to question his friendship with MJF just because he's not sure whether or not he wants that title that badly or not.
Yeah. Well, let me just say, first of all, why this match main event? I mean, I know why, but man, what a limp noodle of a main event to what was a pretty good show. But anyway, I understand why it did because of the angle. Neither of them return as possible. That's what we said. That's the silver lining of it all, is if they don't turn. And then who knows where it goes from here. And that's exciting.
That would be a producer boy there in the comments. Thank you, producer.
That's hilarious.
Contributions.
That's a bold assumption of you to say there. He didn't say it. No one's person that wrote that didn't put their name next to it. So who knows? That could have been James. You don't know what he does when he's not talking. But the angle was good. It was just the right amount. I think the video packages did enough, but this was just a nice little cherry on top of the. I'm not gonna say cake. I'll say cupcake of a go home angle for this feud. So it was good. No qualms about it. I was already tuned out by this point, getting ready for this. I mean, no offense, I guess, James, but the main event really lost me. So I was just like, let me get set up for the show. And then the segment gave me, no, just because the Hardys aren't on the show and these guys are on the pre-show. It's not a good main event. Literally.
No, I agree with that. I do agree with that notion.
I mean, hell, the main event was so bad we lost 4 people who were watching us.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping in, AJ. But sorry, Angelo. He goes by AJ. Angelo is his dad's name because Weirdo has a fucking dad. But
is that Papa G?
Yeah. But anyway, and John Blaney. John Blaney has a cool dad too. But you were gonna say, James, I don't want to keep shitting on it just in case you actually had anything positive to say.
No, I agree. I think the after-match segment was better than the match itself. I'm surprised they really went into the overlap. I think it ended at 10:03, 10:04 maybe. So
it did go over, yeah.
It did go over. I am hyped for Sunday. I think whichever. I think it was you, Danny, who said this was a nice little cherry on top, considering the promo packages all did a good job of dealing with the story. So I guess they just wanted them in front of a live crowd, which how could you not? They're going to get a good reaction. So the one I will say one thing, and I guess in a way going to be knocking my own guys a little bit with the Hardys, who I do think put on a good, sufficient match.
Yeah, because Matt usually does. He's a pro. Guy's a Hall of Famer. Fucking trailblazer of the industry. Am I lying? Like
No.
No, you're not.
Stop him when he's telling lies.
He's not telling lies. Jeff did good too, but
Yep.
I do feel that Aussie Open hasn't really had an opportunity to truly shine in a little bit. I know that Davis just came back from injury and Fletcher was doing a singles thing for a little bit, but they were announced as all elite basically when he got hurt.
Yeah.
So I would like for them to be in an actual feud on AEW television soon. I know they're the Ring of Honor tag team champions, but they are in fact all elite. So I would like to see them integrated into AEW a little bit more, but we'll see. If I'm not mistaken, aren't they still actually with Ospreay too?
I believe so. But also, they just won the main event. What more do you want? They're in the main event and they won.
How do I say this without?
I know what you mean, though. You don't have to actually. Well, if you want to explain it to the audience,
I don't want to.
Dumb.
I don't want to. I want them to be featured in a very satisfying way. That's all I'm saying.
More satisfying than winning in the main event of the show.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
More consistently and prominently featured.
Meaningfully.
Yeah. I would say this was pretty meaningful. The match maybe not so much, but
it wasn't meaningful for them. It wasn't meaningful for them. This was all the appetizer for Cole and MJF.
They got to beat the Hardys, one of the most legendary tag teams of all time, carried by one guy more than the other, but you know.
I was so close. He's edging me a little bit here, but
I feel like I just said they were one of the greatest tag teams of all time. What more do you want from me?
Nothing. Literally nothing. Say nothing else. Period. Take us home, Nick.
All right. Well, I guess before we wrap up here. No, I just
Wait, we can't.
That was good.
Yeah, we can't.
We should. He won't be at All In, but maybe soon.
But hey, maybe despite me bashing him so much, warranted bashing, maybe Triple H would be cool and they'll just let him go to it. Maybe they'll waive it.
That's
you know. The hype is there, and it's the only time in a while I've been hype about Edge, so I'm just gonna ride it while it lasts. It's nice while it lasts. You know, like Edge is the Devon Dudley of his team. He's the Jeff Hardy of his team. You know, he's the less creative one of the two. And he's the less good one of the two. But you know, he has no Jannetty, you know. So
put Nick to sleep over here.
I mean, you already did it, so I guess that makes us even.
Yeah.
But that's fair because I'm about to go to bed. So I was actually going to leave when you started talking about the main event and just go to bed. But, oh, that's funny. She looks so different. That's weird.
Yeah.
He looks older there in the past.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone. Be nice and almost done drink and drive.
No. I did want to get your guys' overall thoughts on this go home show because it was indeed at least the go home show for Dynamite.
Really fun, really good. Those are my thoughts.
No, I just wanted to bring up a point I brought up earlier. There weren't a lot of matches on this card. I think it was like 3 matches or something.
No.
The main event, the women's match, the Moxley match,
and the Tornado Tag. So there's only 4 matches on this card, which was something we brought up earlier, saying and brought up last week, saying that a lot of times these go home shows for for Dynamite are very promo heavy, and they can tend to fall a little flat with the show before having a lot more action and setting more things up in order to protect people. I thought this show, James, was great. Even with all the promos, I thought all of the promos really, really brought it, and most of the matches brought it too, especially that Mox Phoenix match. So I was very, very happy with this as a go-home show, and I think it made me even more excited for All In on Sunday.
When you look at the caliber of talent involved in tonight's show, it's not surprising that they were able to get by on essentially just promos. You know, it was, you have Adam Cole taking up a good portion of the night, MJF taking up a good portion of the night, Eddie Kingston taking up a portion of the night, the Young Bucks and FTR taking up a good portion of the night. None of it is out and out surprising to me. They did take something that we have criticized in the past and turned it into a strength in this instance, which is I'm very pleased with. But given the caliber of people involved, I can't even say I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm just happy that they were able to do it. So good job on everyone involved. I'm very excited for Sunday. If you're not excited for Sunday, you're either crazy or JL. And I hope everyone is as all in as we are.
No, I think JL was just saying he was excited for All Out, which is weird because there's only 2 announced matches so far. Danny, I just wanted to double check. You're good?
Yeah, it was a good show.
Right, awesome. And on that very convincing note, I would like to thank everybody so much for watching us here at the Mark It Down podcast. Please like and subscribe. As we've been saying all show, we will have our all-in predictions coming out in the next couple of days. We will also be going live after All In happens. All In's in like the middle of the day, right?
It starts at 1 p.m.
Perfect. So we'll probably be on around, knowing AEW, like 8 o'clock.
9 o'clock. 10 o'clock. Yeah.
So, at least it'll be a little earlier than our normal pay-per-view schedule, but that's still pretty good. And it's on a Sunday, which makes things even better. So be sure to subscribe for that. And we'll also have All Out stuff next week as well. So if you want to get all of the good stuff, and I didn't intend to use all there, but it kind of worked. Like I said, please subscribe, and then you'll also get our shows live after Dynamite every week. Danny's Raw Fast Forwards on Mondays, the Gym Pack Zone on Thursdays, and some other good stuff as well. Be sure to check out all of our social media stuff as well. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Danny is great on the Instagram. I will be live on Twitter for All In, probably All Out. We'll see. I am coming back from a wedding that weekend, so my schedule is going to be a little tricky, but I hope to be there, and I hope to see you guys there as well.
What is your cousin getting married?
No, my cousin's not getting married. I'm older than all my cousins, so none of them are getting married anytime soon. It's my friend's sister. Congratulations, Matt and Taylor. But on that congratulatory note, for Danny Hernandez, producer boy behind the scenes, and James Asante, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching us here at the Mark It Down podcast. Have a good night, everybody.